Hello and welcome to the SpinCycle podcast. I'm your host Charles, and as always I'll be joined by Sid, and maybe sometimes a third opinion too. In this show we try to wash away rhetoric and narrative to find just the core nuggets of truth. We hope you enjoy the episode. Go for it. Let's go for it. Right, so up on the screen here I've got a let's start off with actually the response of it. I think is kind of the best bit to start.
Work our way back.
Yeah, especially as we're kind of in the response stages now more. What I've got here is, so a lot of it, and that's so interesting for the UK because I believe we either have the most CCTV cameras for the population, like per person, or the second most, only behind Singapore.
I believe it's with the most in the Western world because Singapore's not, but I think overall worldwide we're
still second or third.
I think it's all because I'm quite so used to it. Never think about how much CCTV is out there, but it's absolutely everywhere. If you stop and look, it is literally everywhere.
There's nowhere to hide, and but more than that as well. Like you use your driving license for anything, your cards, your credit cards, anything like that. You're picked up. It's all monitored, which is quite a scary thought. But I guess in this case, in my opinion, 700 people have been arrested so far. That's
700.
Incredible amount.
Incredible it is an incredibly large number for sure.
Incredibly large number, yeah, exactly.
I'm not too sure if arresting 700 people is a thing to be applauded. I try to minimise that sort of stuff, It feels awful that, anonymity is dead in the UK.
Oh, 100%.
It's gone. And I mean, I always see positives and stuff. I remember, what was it? It must have been about a year ago. There was some people trying to pass legislation where you have to have ID to sign up for social media. And that's very vehemently against.
Well, and actually also, if you remember the last Labour government, first thing that Blair lost vote on, essentially the Labour definitely on it. They're normally just.
I think it's because the more the more anarchist conservatives shut up and deal with it, whereas the left they're not afraid to voice their opinion, and I respect that. You want to say let's try and minimise this sort of stuff, try and return to the fat of the land or whatever. That is, they actually say it and they mean it and they try to do something about it, which can be nothing but applauded.
No, exactly, yeah. And so anyway, coming back to this, it's really interesting how quickly he's done it. And I don't know how you feel about kind of the response times to it and his actions taken. But one thing, like, no one can very, very quickly. I mean, 700 arrests made already. We only decided on this topic a week ago, right? The police are working quicker. Now that's kind of incredible speeds and doing stuff like, so he opened the courts up 20, that is going through at rapid speeds.
Yes, I heard that they were. My issue is I heard that they're opening up sort of like a separate court thing to get this done, quick, swift judgment, right?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
My worry with that is what's the it's drumhead trial, I think that's the correct term, where middle of a battlefield, get a drumhead, have them sit down, punishments, swift, very little evidence needed, boom, done, swift and severe. And I'm not for that. I'm making sure everyone's getting their the correct time and time allotted for them, make sure they're processed correctly. I don't want it to be you were at this location and you are also 50-year-old man, therefore you're guilty. Like, that's not enough, mate. You know what I mean? I'm able to make sure that they're being proper, and what they've been charged with is get charged for a crime if you're actually doing something violent, right? If you're doing something violent, yeah, boom, done. Get it done. Prove that they're being violent, whatever. But if it's like you attended the rally, therefore, no, that's not enough.
I think that's definitely the kind of the concerns are the going through it. So I think actually that's why opening the courts 24/7 works so well, because that isn't about saying let's speed it up by giving them less time to argue in court. Just saying we're going to handle more court cases per day. And that means stuff like judges, stuff like that, they're losing all their holiday time. Like, they can't take holiday, they can't be taking personal days and stuff like that. But I think that's a better approach than just going, these guys aren't going to stand trial. If we see them at a protest, you're gone, kind of thing. That's a better approach.
Yes, sure, I can agree on that point.
So yeah, but I think, the arrests really are probably the biggest kind of talking point, like the biggest, very big.
I assume they're saying that they're voicing their opinions and stuff, so therefore what's wrong with that? I assume that's what they're talking about, at least.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And that they're talking about the fact that they went to a protest. However, the people that are being arrested and time again. So actually, I've just trying to find where it is on Musk's Twitter.
See, I'm very hesitant on using the word rioting.
Are you?
Yeah. Well, you got to think about. Okay, we've got to think back. What year was this going to be? This was 2020 George Floyd stuff. When did they? Because it was usually if it's a left wing source, they'd say it's a protest. If it's a right wing source, boom, it's a riot. End of, just like that. And well, some of them were protests, some of them were riots, and we've got to make sure we've got to understand and be very, very particular on what is what.
Absolutely. For me, the reason where I always define the difference is in the intention. So for me, I class riots when the intention of it is to create fear and to create a sense of anarchy. Right. So if you're protesting by sitting on a motorway, you are creating some anarchy.
Yeah.
But I don't believe the intention there is to create fear in people's lives. People aren't going, oh no, is Just Stop Oil coming into town? Right?
They go, but people, oh God.
They're like, oh, right, they're here. Right. But stuff like, I was out when there was protests recently in Brighton, and I was actually out at the pub that night. And my mum was texting me being like, can you come home, please? Like, she was like, go home. Don't want you out. Now, for me, that you wouldn't get that reaction if you found that, I don't know, Just Stop Oil were sitting on a road. You wouldn't be going, it's not safe for you. I want you to come home. And that, for me, is the difference between rioting and protesting is, do people feel safe to be around it? There are some BLM protests I wouldn't have wanted to be near, and I would consider.
You can see when I say that sometimes a violent response is the only response available for the needy and the people who feel they aren't being heard. They feel that the only recourse is violence, and that is it's a deplorable thing to happen. I mean, obviously, I try to minimize violence as much as we can, but sometimes it's going to be inevitable. And really, if violence is happening, you've got to sit down and listen to them. So they start violence, and we're going to then go, all right, we're here to listen, sit down, and talk about it. We're not going to respond with violence in kind. We're here to sit down, talk, discuss what's happening. If they feel like they're not being fairly treated, they're going to have to try and respond violently. We've got to try and minimize that. And then if it's happened at all, they've got to go, what are we doing wrong? Make them want to have to attack, feel like they have to be violent to get their voices heard.
Potentially. But I do think you also have the issue of, we live in a democracy and we have...
That's an issue.
But we live in a democracy, so everyone has a say, right? And everyone does get their voice heard. So I think, this whole week, right, it's been thousands of people have been out protesting about this.
Tens of thousands.
That's not even a percentage of our population. Why should we have to then take a knee as a country to an incredibly small majority? If you were living in a shared house, 6 of you, and it would be like if one of your roommate's girlfriends was like, I want you to start cleaning it like this. You'd be like, well, I'm sorry, but no. We can talk about this as a house and have a conversation, but just one tiny subsection doesn't get to make rules for everyone. In my opinion, no matter how violent they are. I don't think, it's not about, I can talk louder than you, therefore I get more.
To add to your sort of analogy, is it an analogy? Yes, an analogy. Yeah. It would be, so that's what was it? One of the roommates' girlfriend is making it vocal, but the boyfriend had been talking to the girlfriend about being like this for a while. Like, obviously, only the truly emboldened people are actually doing this stuff, and there must be okay. So the key points of this stuff is they want to sort of have a conversation, a talk about immigration. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
That's always been a hot topic issue for many a time. What was it? Nearly 80 or 60 seats won by Reform, and their key platform point was
5 seats. Oh yeah, they nearly won. No, they nearly won 12.
I swore it was more.
They came second. They came second in about 80 seats. Yeah, but not that. That wasn't like, that doesn't mean close. but they came second in
so
about 80
clearly that immigration is an issue for a large
They won
populace.
22% of the voter share. I believe.
22%.
Of
So 22% to think that immigration is a key issue. So I was going to say about 20% of people feel like this would have sympathies for what is happening here. 20% is enough to bring to a conversation, and definitely 20% of voting saying that immigration is the number one priority.
Yeah.
Then what? Another 40% are saying that immigration is the number two priority. It clearly is a big enough issue. Of course, only a very small population are actually emboldened enough to make it heard and known on the streets.
100%. And see, this is the thing, right? As I said about the BLM program, some I'll be okay with, some I'm not. And that is the exact same for this. That I've seen videos where they're standing in streets making chants. Go for it. I think that is a right that should be protected. I think we should be allowed to protest. And I think you want to voice your opinion. However, I've seen ones where they're there was a video of the woman who lit a wheelie bin, like, you know, ones that you get outside flats, the massive ones, lit that on fire, chucked it at a line of policemen, like rolled it at policemen. That's not voicing your concerns. That's not expressing. I've seen cases. So I think one of the more notable cases is someone who got years in prison. Can't remember the amount, but years. And people are going, this is ridiculous. This is crazy. How come they're getting that much? They stole about £4,000 worth of, I can't even remember what it was. I think it was of something in particular though. Vapes. £4,000 worth of vapes.
I thought you were talking about the BLM stuff. This is what happened recently. Yes. I heard about this in the news this morning.
Stealing £4,000 worth of vapes is not protesting. That's looting.
They're protesting the ban of vapes they're trying to implement. That's what they're trying to do. Clearly trying to do that. What do you guys do with £4,000 worth of vape? Because, hey, do you want to buy £1,000 worth of vape? They're clearly stolen. And you can't smoke that many, all right?
Well, I mean, maybe you would last a weekend or something.
I've got my day busy. I want to smoke all the flavors like that. So sort of like
mega vape,
like a sommelier. It's like a sommelier of a different vape. I'm getting hints of this. Very delicious.
Definitely. I think yeah, but you see stuff like that. So I've actually got a tweet up here on screen. This is something Elon Musk retweeted.
Oh, it's Andy No. Yes, I'm aware of Andy No.
Yeah, but Musk retweeted it. William Nelson Morgan, a 69-year-old retiree with no criminal history, is the oldest the oldest person. He was sentenced to 2 years and 8 months in prison for refusing to disperse and holding a stick at a library riot. So, see, for me, the issue here is the framing. Right? They start off, oh, poor 69-year-old man. Look at him, like he's just a cute little old man. Why is he being persecuted? And he got 2 years and 8 months for refusing to disperse a riot that was happening inside of a library. But riots had broken into the library. They were causing violent outbursts in the library, and he was brandishing a stick. Yeah, but what could be considered a weapon, right? If I started whacking you with a stick, you're going to call that a weapon. and then the police said, disperse immediately, and he went, no. Yes, you should face jail time for that. Yes, you should be arrested.
69-year-old with a stick, let's be honest. Like, they're not going to hurt me. I'm not, let's be honest.
Well, they may not hurt you, but
I feel 2.5 years is a lot more. 69-year-old, you know what I mean?
2 years and 8 months.
I feel like it should be like jail systems we somehow changed, maybe where okay, so look, the average life expectancy, 75 years? And so they're going to take what?
Essentially his last couple of good years.
Yeah, half of his good years. I think it should be some sort of thing of like, if you're older, maybe something to do like be more smaller sentences because it's a bigger percentage of your life. It's way too many educated. It's quite unfair to the younger generations.
That's a really interesting belief system, like percentage of life left rather than
of estimated life left. It's not going to be a point of like, well, we did say you do 10 years off, 10 years jail because it'd be half your life, and you've made 11 years, so we're going to have to kill you.
That's an interesting thought. I mean, I don't really believe in jail time generally, right? Like, you know, I'm quite a big advocate that we should be using other methods rather than jail. However, that is how right now under the system, that is how we should be treating it. And the framing that, oh, he was just a little man's protesting. He wasn't. The police told him to disperse. So if a policeman came up to you and said, drop that stick and disperse immediately, and you went no, and you were waving it around still, yes, they should arrest you. Like, yes, they should arrest you.
I could see myself doing that, but just because I'm a dick. Is there any chance you can there must be some sort of video at all where we can sort of look up, if you quickly search up a 69-year-old.
What's his name?
Like, I think there must be some video footage of it. If it's like he's holding a stick like that just casually, then yeah, maybe like that's a bit much. But if he's there, holding a stick high up in the air and stuff, then maybe I could sort of see the sort of reasoning for what close to half is good.
There's no video of him doing it, as far as I can see.
Any photos of him doing it? Is it just
no? There's photos of him being arrested.
I assume probably in the next week to a month we'll probably get the footage. Because I assume all these the riot police also have body cams on. I would assume so.
Yeah. Well, there's footage of him being arrested. The court showed of him being arrested. He said, "I'm English. I'm 70. All right, leave me alone." He can also be seen to shout, "Get off me,"
which is pretty good defense, to be fair. What is he going to do? He's 70 years old.
The police officer attempting to arrest him, though, this reply is actually pretty funny. He said, "And why are you here?"
He wants to make his opinion heard.
But to be fair, if he's going, "I'm 70, get off me, don't manhandle me," why are you rioting? If you're too frail to be arrested, you're too frail to riot.
Well, it's a Mott and Bailey of he's good enough to riot, but he instantly retreat to the "I'm old and frail." The second that he has to confront himself a bit.
I mean, so also he had previously admitted violent disorder and carrying a kosh. What's it
called? AOSH.
COS.
In the sentence.
Carrying a kosh during a riot.
Put a picture of a kosh on screen right now.
He's previously admitted. So that tweet said, with no criminal record, which he doesn't. He's not been convicted of it. But he has previously admitted that he has committed violent disorder.
A kosh is a thick, heavy stick or barred user weapon. A thick stick.
By stick, a thick, heavy stick used as a weapon.
Well, I doubt it would have been twig. Let's be honest, it's not worth picking up.
But again, I think it really shows the language, narrative. And these are people, I mean, you said you know this guy.
Yes, I believe he got famous probably about 2016, 17 for covering lots of stuff with the Antifa riots. He's originally an American journalist. So
is he American?
He lives in America, I think, or at least he does majority stuff in America. I believe he's from Southeast Asia, I believe.
Right.
I can't remember what country it would be.
And so I think this is actually a really good. Definitely, it's really nice. Why the fuck are so many out? Like, literally, just leave us alone.
Do you want my quick?
Yeah, go on.
The reason why is pretty simple. They have a massive problem with immigration too. That the south border has been leaking quite a lot, and there's lots of people going in, and big problem. I'm not sure of the exact numbers. I don't know if what for us we got. Is it 200,000 a year illegal? Got coming in. I'm not sure about America. We've got a much bigger border. It's much easier to cross an English channel. There must be more, and there must be a problem for them. It's like, all right, if England starts to do it, then it sort of emboldens them to then start doing their demonstrations on the street. I'm not sure if you've seen any demonstrations on the street in the US yet.
Well, there's always been kind of anti-immigration. But the thing is, we've had anti-immigration protests before. There was literally one 2 weeks ago that was saying we want our streets back, anti-immigration. But never had they attempted to burn down mosques. Like, look, so this article, UK riots latest. Thousands take part in anti-racism protests. Petrol bombs thrown at mosques in racially motivated incidents. So people are throwing petrol bombs at stuff. People are hitting police officers. I saw a guy that got jailed and being like, "This is outrage. I did nothing wrong." He was sentenced for attacking a police officer. So he did something wrong. These people, they're kicking down windows. They're burning shops. They burnt down a citizens advice center, which the irony of that, anyone that doesn't know, citizens advice centers are where you go when you're being prosecuted and you can't afford a lawyer. So they're literally destroying their own means of getting defense in court.
Yeah.
Unless they want to pay for a lawyer, which is always crazy amounts of money. for what will be a very clear-cut case. So even if you were incredibly wealthy, so they burnt that down. They've tried burning down police stations. That's not protecting our streets.
Well, actually, again, I can take me back to BLM riots where they, I believe, Chicago, I think, they tried to burn down a police station. They happened quite a lot of time. But I think they actually had to abandon that police thing because there was so many bombs thrown in it. And of course, I know my French news. I know my French news sources, and petrol bombs being thrown at religious institutions is not uncommon. Happens a lot.
But it should be, though, and I think we can.
As
an English person, I will stand by that. France definitely has a Islamophobia problem.
But it's not mosques being burned down. It's the churches being burned down. It's been a big issue for a while. Okay. I believe it's one every 2 weeks was a stat last year. I think it was sort of that.
Well, stuff like that is shocking. I think I want to live in a country where you can have whatever religion you want. Also, pray in peace, exactly. And you can have a religion. If you want to build a building, have that religion. If it isn't inciting violence or being actively violent, and it is tolerant towards certain views that we have in our law, like the right, how we accept LGBTQ communities, stuff like that. As long as it respects all of that, believe what you want to believe.
Your religion must be able to fit within the confines of English common law.
Exactly.
Anything else, it's like, well, my religion says this, the laws don't agree. You've got to do it. You've got to understand what takes priority here.
And there is potentially some issues with religions like Islam, because they can be quite opposed to gay rights and stuff like that.
And same with women as well.
Yeah, and I will always stand against that. But that doesn't make anyone who is a Muslim an inherently bad person. Doesn't mean they're ruining our country. There are, putting it simplest possible way, right? There are assholes everywhere, every religion, no matter what. This isn't, this isn't, I mean, for example, the attacker, right? The stabbings that started this whole thing. So it started because this man came in, this boy, I should say, 17. He went into what was like a dance party, Taylor Swift dance.
Taylor Swift, that was it, yes.
Yeah. And he killed 3 children. Right?
Yes.
Brutally, stabbed them, right? Absolutely disgusting. And because he's 17, the police don't release his information, right? Or to protect the person, right? And so the theory started up that he was a Muslim, right? And a fake name started and everything like that. And the police, they did release it, right? Starmer said you should release it. The judge said we'll release it. No, not Starmer, actually. Yeah, it was just the judge said we'll release it in the interest of public safety. It's a 17-year-old boy who was born in Cardiff.
Yep.
He's lived in the UK. His parents are from Rwanda.
Yes.
Right. So his parents are immigrants, but he was born in the UK.
So he's the second generation, am I correct? The first generation, I never remember. Second generation, yep.
Yeah, second. And he's black, not Middle Eastern.
Yep.
And he's Christian, not
I have
Muslim.
seen tweets. Of course, these are just tweets, and I'm not sure if I believe them at all. I wanted to ask you more because you're the expert on this one. Tweets where apparently something to do with footage or audio of him saying Allahu Akbar. Now, first, that's not enough evidence to prosecute anyway, because even if it was true, because what was it? That thing in Australia where it was the guy with the gun, Christchurch shooting, where he just said subscribe to PewDiePie, just because it's funny, and that was enough to condemn PewDiePie, which is, he could have done it as a false flag operation, if anything, if he was actually to say that and stuff. Who knows what actually happened?
Yeah, maybe.
But have you seen anything about them saying Allahu Akbar?
I actually haven't. I haven't, and I haven't seen any news sites reporting on that. So there is a lot of conspiracy theories floating around.
Could be misinformation. It could not be.
That is actually one of the biggest things at the moment is the problems with Twitter. So a lot of the conversation is about these protests have turned into riots because they're fueled with so much misinformation that if you were getting that misinformation, I don't really blame you, because you're there thinking my country need to defend it.
Yes.
And I respect the patriotism, want to protect the country, but it is misinformation that spread. I mean, there's conspiracy theories about him not even being 17, and they just wanted to keep his identity secret because
of it.
like, why? There's so many things that happen. I mean, there was that man like 3 months ago running around London with a sword.
Oh yeah,
white man killed kids, killed I think one child he killed. No one cared. Well, we cared, but like no protests, no riots, because it was a white man that killed a black kid. So we were like, oh well, that's horrible crime. It's a crime. And then this happens, and we go, it's our whole country is being torn down.
I think that this, I would like probably very much easily say, if you ask anyone there, they'd probably say it's a straw that broke the camel's back. Though they're not protesting just on this one, I guess mass killing. I guess because it's over 3 mass killing. It's probably like this is sort of, here's our issue is this, and here's like all the things that we've got passionate about. And this is the inciting incident. I think you ask any of them, they're not going to say they're protesting just for those 3 kids. I very much doubt most of those people sort of care about it because I don't know. That's the issue. It's very, very awful, but we do not care unless you actually know the person.
No, absolutely. And I just think though, people that are stealing from out trying to protect your country and your family.
Think about the image you're portraying. You want to portray a good image of here's us. We're nice sort of not gentle, I guess, but well respectable people, and these are our concerns and our demands. Whereas if it's like, yeah, look at us, we're thugs. Here's our points and demands. No one's going to take you seriously.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, I think we need to have conversations about this, and you know what we are. As I said earlier, Reform have 5 seats in Parliament. They have a voice in Parliament to push anti-immigration. We talk about immigration so much more than we did 10 years ago, 20 years ago. Our conversations about immigration are going up. This isn't...
But I think it's also because immigration is also going up in those past 20 years as well.
Well, exactly, yeah. But this isn't some underground issue that's being hidden and covered over. We have a lot of politicians like Starmer are saying we need to reduce the amount of immigration.
Yeah, it's everyone admit that immigration is high. Then after it is, they always admit it's high. Then they say it's a good thing or it's a bad thing. But the fact that immigration is high is not a contested issue. That is proven fact. Everyone can agree to that point.
So then, and they're acting like it's some big cover up that they need to. That doesn't make sense to me.
But clearly, they believe that the news that they're seeing isn't showing the heart of the issue or showing the issue enough.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, absolutely. I'm just looking at an article here actually. So Starmer will be judged. So I think that's really interesting. How do you? Because obviously I'm quite.
You are
campaigned for him, stuff like that. But I would love to ask your opinion. Why? How do you think he's come across?
Well, first off, I want to preface that I have very, very poor opinion on politicians in general. I believe that someone who spends their entire time making themselves try to be liked is an inherently a dodgy person not to trust. I'm going to have to say that's my personal bias with any politician. So I'm not going to be the best faith interpreter of any politician. But with Keir Starmer, I feel that I can very easily see the argument of him being two-tiered for sure. Especially that very telling clip of the difference between him and his response to 2020 protests and riots compared to what was happening at the moment. They're both very two different things, and people are saying, "Oh yeah, it's the same issue, just the races are swapped." It's not the same issue. There's quite a lot of difference, but he's got to. Well, don't be soft on crime, but don't be too harsh, and make sure people are feeling like their voices are getting heard. Otherwise, they're not going to stop.
And how do you?
Not the best. All I see is all the news talking about it, and all they do is only condemn this horrible action, and they're not talking about why is it happening. What do they want to talk about? And they're celebrating. People are celebrating in the news. This person got arrested. Yippee! I'm like, sort of arrests are a sort of event where one of our own had to be sent away from our society because they couldn't be trusted. That is every time someone's arrested. That is like we've got to realize that one of our own people, we can't trust them at this point. That is not a good thing.
Sad thing. Yeah.
It's a solemn event every time this happens. We should take that into account. That every arrest shows another failing of our people to abide by our law, or our law failing to abide by our people.
And well, yeah, and ask us
Again, I want to also preface that all the laws don't respect the people themselves. That's what I also want to make sure, because I'm always going to say, just because it's the state or it's the law does not make it inherently right or wrong.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Make sure that is very, very clear. It could be, these laws and you're following them perfectly does not mean you're in the right.
yeah. No,
Only following
that's
orders
right.
is, of course, always never used as a correct as a good defense.
Yeah, absolutely. I just real quick before we move on, because I feel like we should move on soon.
Of course.
Just really quickly, what do you think about Elon Musk's tweet? And this is a direct quote, by the way. I've written it down, reading it out. It's 2030 in the UK, and you're being.
I believe it's, quite obviously, one, it's a joke. Definitely, that's for sure. It's a joke based in what they believe as a sort of, here's a trend of what's happening. All right. The trend of what's happening, and here's what the end point will be. Because at the moment, there's been lots of issues for the past probably 4 years, I'd say. 4 years that I've noticed of the UK police spending more time worrying about posts online than like burglaries. Like, what was it? I can't remember who it was, but someone admitted basically, if there's no prints, no camera, you've been burgled, you're on your own, really. Nothing you can do about it. But if you listen to like a limerick or something, you listen to like a limerick, or like, what was it? I believe it was, if you were liking your limerick on Facebook, police visits, or someone, I think it might have been Australia or it was the UK, but they're both Commonwealth, so they're both quite similar. I think it was a police officer and a therapist will sort of force their way into someone's house to sort of discuss their social media posting, which is that shouldn't be what the police are caring about. They should care
Unless
about.
you have a warrant.
Yeah, you got to think about the priority of crime. If no other crime is happening, you want to start doing, I guess you can sort of say the word sort of thought crime-ish, or what if crimes about people's opinions, they're not acting on it, they're just stating their opinions. Like, if there's no other crime, I'd be sure, go ahead. I mean, obviously I'm going to say I detest that, because I think people should be able to have any opinion they want and should be able to express it, and then usually people can express back that you're wrong, you're a prick, if they disagree or whatever. But there are bigger issues at the moment, and people are worried about what 69-year-olds are thinking. It's not what the police should be prioritising at all.
Very interesting, very interesting. Anyway, shall we take a quick little break?
That's it. Let's take a quick break and go to our next topic.